Hi folks, Jenny here. I am making another one of my one-take tutorials for you. This is the last one of 2024. If you've never watched one of these before, they are ukulele related videos in which I teach a song that I've arranged, a technique, talk about a topic having to do with ukulele playing, singing, songwriting, transposing, lots of different things we've covered so far. And I post these for everybody to see on YouTube. These are streamed live and you will hear my mistakes along with the things I get right. And I really enjoy doing these, but as I am not a video editor, I just tend to do them in that sort of long format like I was giving you a workshop. They tend to be 45 minutes to an hour long, but I will put timestamps in the description box. So if you want to skip around, skip the stuff you already know or aren't interested in and skip ahead to things that do interest you more or come back to something that you may be practicing later, then you'll be able to do that. Today I had an interesting idea that happened because I've been playing songs every day for what I'm calling an ukulele advent calendar. For the last 8 years, I think now, I have been posting one song per day from December 1st through Epiphany, which is January 6th, that are Christmassy, anti-Christmas, wintry, solstice, Hanukkah related, whatever I can find that seems to be of the season. I know it's not winter for everybody in December, but for me it is. And so I've been posting songs related to all things festive and holiday, etc. for this month plus, and I'm still in the middle of it. Today is December 29th, so as I am recording this, I still have a song I need to produce today to post, and I am working on the 12 Days of Christmas, and I discovered something really interesting that I thought would make a fun follow-up video to a video I posted earlier in this series that was on intuitive strumming or strumming, without a strumming pattern. If you're just given the chords and the lyrics to a song, can you make it work? And this is a skill that I think is really great to practice. It doesn't have to be everyone's goal, but if it is something you would like to work on, then this video might help you conceptualize that a little bit. I would still watch the original video for even more information on it, but we'll be putting some of that into practice today. I put it into practice every time I sit down to arrange a song that I just have chords for or that I even just have lyrics for. So intuitive strumming is really important to me as a technique and something that I practice all the time, and I wanted to share some of that with you. So before we get officially started, I want to give a quick shout out to my Patreon patrons. Thank you so much for your support. I'm here for everybody, whether anyone ever supports me monetarily or not. So I don't want to make this sound like a hard sell. But because ukulele is not my steady job, it doesn't pay the bills for me, every little bit of support I get on Patreon helps me get a little closer to that in case someday I am making enough that I can quit some of my other day jobs and just do ukulele. That'd be amazing. But also spend more time on it. So to make videos like this that I can then post for everybody who's interested is really great, and I love doing it. I always learn new things. I think I'm gradually becoming a better teacher because Patreon patrons allow me to spend more time practicing, teaching. So thank you so much to those of you who do support, and if you're ever interested in supporting me for 1 month or more, either through Patreon or you can Venmo me, PayPal me, those sorts of things are all listed in links on public posts in my social media different locations. Again, not a hard sell, but you're welcome to. And if you aren't, that's okay too. I'm going to keep continuing to produce these free public tutorials and workshops. And also I do 4 free monthly play-along jams online and 1 or 2 in person most months here in New York City that are no one has to pay for. So if you want to join us for any of those, I hope you will, whether you're in person in New York City or whether you are joining us via Zoom or YouTube at the regular monthly play-alongs that I do. Some of which are more for beginners, some of which are more for mixed level, but anybody's welcome at any of them. And I should say, because of the topic of this video today, I really think that those online play-alongs, while they're not as much fun as in-person jams, in my opinion, are a great place for people to try new things. So if you're someone who would be a little nervous to try out a new strum or a new picking pattern or just do it intuitively during a jam, even though that is also a great place in person to try, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, then doing it online where you can only hear me leading the songs and yourself and no one else can hear you can be a great place to try some new things out. So join us and let me know what questions you have about that, or if you need help finding the dates for the current month, you can always drop me a comment. But they're all listed in public posts on my Patreon so that you don't have to have paid anything to find that information. All right, so let's jump into today's topic. Really, I had a couple of ideas for this workshop this month, and I ended up going with this song that I'm working on today because something really interesting happened while I was working on it. It is the 12 Days of Christmas, so it has 12 verses, which is kind of fun because you can practice a lot of different strums if you're playing along with it, and you can try out different things. I will post a PDF with the chords that I'm using to the Patreon post, which will be free, that this video is linked to, so you'll be able to find that in the description box. But whether you play the song the same way the whole way through or whether you mix it up and do different things, different verses, doesn't really matter. I just want to show you what I discovered along the way and challenge you to do a little bit of intuitive strumming or finger picking yourself. So let me put up on the screen what that PDF looks like. And here is the PDF I'm working with. Now, some of these lines are highlighted, which I don't normally do, but I want to show you something after we play through it. This is not the format that I usually use for these play-alongs. I don't usually play through the song until we get to the end, but I want us to play through it first, and I want to challenge you to do some intuitive strumming. So don't worry about a strumming pattern. Just kind of find the beats in your body if you can. If you need to rock or sway, nod your head to the beat, tap your feet, whatever you need to do to kind of get that into your body a little bit, and then see what happens. Now, I will warn you that usually in most of these verses, we start out sort of with the intro line on the first day, etc. My true love sent to me, and then the chords pick up the pace a little bit. So you can adjust this if you need to like leave out the F's because you don't have time to change them because you're a beginner and you can't change chords that quickly. Or if you need to play single strums on everything, you can also leave out this G-C switch that happens at the end of every line. Because that is a fast movement. Depending on what level you're at, you can simplify this a little bit. A couple of chord substitutions I tried that I think work okay if you're more of a beginner too is you can play, instead of G sometimes and G7 sometimes, you can play either G or G7 the whole way through. No matter which one is written on the page, you can just pick your favorite one and play that one. That doesn't work in every song, but it does work in this one. And also, I didn't mind the sound of E minor 7 instead of E minor. So if you don't like this E minor shape in the middle of the page, you can play E minor 7, which is played 0, 2, 0, 2. Fingers on the second fret of your C and A string. And so that sounds like this, E minor 7. E minor sounds like this. A little bit different sound. I found both work in this song. If you don't agree, then just play the one you think sounds the best. But for me, if the difference between you playing the song and not playing it was being able to play that E minor 7 shape instead of E minor, then of course I would say pick the shape that works best for you. Also, when the few places in the song where we're playing a G and then we play an E minor, you can use the pinky trick that I learned from Cynthia Lynn, where you reach your pinky around while still holding your other fingers in your G shape, touch the 4th fret of your C string with that pinky, and that's an E minor chord. So that's an alternate shape for your E minor you can use if it makes it easier or more efficient. You do not need to do that. So other than that, I just want to play through the song, and I want to play through the whole thing, tedious as it may seem, because I want you to experiment. I want you to not have a picking or strumming pattern from me, to do what you're feeling, to try things out, to do things that work, to do things that don't work, and to keep going. So if you miss and you mess up and you are behind me suddenly, just go to single strums and come in where the chord is coming up that you can play easily. Play every other chord if you need to, just to kind of try as if you were in a jam and the group was just going to keep on going and nobody was going to tell you how to strum it. See what you can do with this one. And again, remember that these ends of lines, a partridge in a pear tree, I'm going to give those 1 beat each for the, partridge in a pear tree, 2, 3, 4. That last C is the only one that gets 2 beats. The other ones just get 1. So those are going to go faster, and if you need to skip them, skip them. But you can always slow me down on YouTube when you're watching this later too. Under the gear icon, you can change my speed so it goes a little slower. And then we're going to talk about what you might have done, what you could do, some options that I've been exploring, and what all these highlighted lines mean. So let's start with as much of the song on the page as we can get. I'm just going to cut off the top of that C chord there, but you'll know it's a C. And then I'll scroll when we get down to the bottom of the page. All right, so I'm not going to give you a strumming pattern or a picking pattern, as I said, but I'm going to count you in, and this song starts before the 1 beat. Like if you're counting 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, the 1 falls on first on that C, And so we can either not strum till we get there, or we can strum a little intro, like with our C chord. I'm going to count you in on 4, and we're going to count 1, 2, 3 on the first. So I'm not going to say the number 4 because it's underneath the words, right? So that's called a pickup, but you don't need to know that. But that's what we're going to do. 1, 2, 3 on the, and continue going. So I'm counting you in on 4, but I'm not going to say the 4. Try to feel the rhythm and just strum how it's working for you and change it when it's not. 1, 2, 3. On the first day of Christmas, my true love sent to me a partridge in a pear tree. On the second day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. On the third day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the fourth day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the fifth day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the sixth day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the seventh day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 7 swans a-swimming, 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the eighth day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 8 maids a-milking, 7 swans a-swimming, 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the ninth day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 9 drummers drumming, 8 maids a-milking, 7 swans a-swimming, 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 10th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 10 pipers piping, 9 drummers drumming, 8 maids a-milking, 7 swans a-swimming, 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. Page plate. And the 11th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 11 ladies dancing, 10 pipers piping, 9 drummers, 8 maids a-milking, 7 swans a-swimming, 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 12 lords a-leaping, 11 ladies dancing, 10 pipers piping, 9 drummers drumming, 8 maids a-milking, 7 swans a-swimming, 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. All right. First of all, how did that go for you? Feel free to let me know in the comments. Did you find yourself totally lost? Were you kind of hanging in there? And then connect that answer to how well you know this song, not how well you know how to play it on the ukulele. Some people may already have played this on uke, some people maybe never have, but do you know this song in your head? For many of us who've grown up with this song, the melody is super familiar. Most of the lyrics are very familiar, though we may have little differences like gold rings versus golden rings, things like that. But if you know the song well in your head, like could sing it in the shower, even if you don't remember all the words, you know the tune to hum it, that will make it easier to do intuitive strumming. That's one of my tips always, is if you pick songs you know well, you can think in your head, your brain's not having to process that as hard as if it's a new song to you. So this lesson is probably going to be a little trickier for you, and what we just did would be a little trickier too if you don't know 12 Days of Christmas. That's a totally new song to you. But part of the reason I thought it would make a good workshop today was because so many of us did grow up with that song or know it or have heard it, even if English is not your first language. It's a pretty familiar Christmas carol. So there's a couple of interesting things happening in this, and one of them is something that's very unusual. But because this song is so common for many of us, again, not everyone, but if you think of this song as just your typical Christmas carol, you might not even think twice about an interesting thing that is happening with something called the time signature. So you don't need to know music theory to listen to this lesson. Let me take this off the screen just to talk really quickly about time signature. Time signature is when we talk about how many beats there are per what we call as a measure, or kind of like a musical phrase. I'm dumbing it down a little bit for myself because I'm not a music theory teacher, but I'm just I want to give you some shorthand that is not the official language. But if you have like pulses, I like to think of beats as pulses sometimes when I'm talking to ukulele players. And if you listen to most of the songs we play in ukulele groups, you either get 4 pulses or 2, which is related, or you get 3 pulses, which people think of as waltz time, or 6, which is related. And different time signatures that are often written on orchestral or piano music, instrumental music, we'll say things like 4/4, 2/4, 3/4, 6/8. You don't need to know what all of these things mean for this lesson. Although if you're interested, let me know. We can talk more about that. And I have done a lesson for my Patreon patrons about playing songs with unusual time signatures. But a time signature tells you a couple things. It tells you how many beats per measure, per like block of music that we're playing. And a song is made up of many measures in a row usually. And it also tells you what kind of note gets the each beat. So sometimes it's a quarter note, sometimes it's an eighth note. Again, we don't need to get into that too deep. But what I like to do when I'm playing a song is to feel that internal pulse and sort of know, is this song a 2 or 4 pulse song where I could clap along 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 1, 2? Or is this song's more of a 3/4 or 6/8 where I would do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that waltz time, faster or slower? It can be different tempos, which is how fast or slow it goes. But is it 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Or is it 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, 4? And that's where clapping or tapping or nodding or swaying along may help you a little bit more, or you can look it up online. A lot of songs you can Google and find out what's the time signature. And in preparing for this lesson, I happened to do that with 12 Days of Christmas, and I found out something really interesting I had never realized before. This song actually switches time signature between 4/4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3/4, 1, 2, 3, waltz time, 34 times over the course of 12 verses. It is both 4/4 and 3/4, which is why I highlighted, and let me show you this again, so that I could show you all the places where we're in 3/4 time, where we have 3 beats. Now, if you didn't know that, but you know the song well, it wouldn't necessarily make this song harder to play. But if I were picking up a song I'd never learned before, like maybe this song is for you, but let's say it's not. Let's say you know this song well. You don't necessarily need to know that you're switching to 3 beats on those phrases: 3 French hens, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 4 calling birds. 3 claps fits into that. It's a 3/4. As opposed to on the first, sorry, I told you the first gets the 1 beat. On the first day of Christmas, my true love sent to me. That's very easy to clap in a 2 or a faster 4 beat. So if you intuitively know in your body, in your brain, without knowing with words that you're going from 4 to 3, that you can do it without even thinking about it. But if we look at a song and we've never heard it before, we've never played it before, and we are suddenly shown that, oh, we have to play one strumming pattern for the 3 beats and one strumming pattern for the 4 beat sections, that can be really daunting. But if you know this song well, you may have just done that without even realizing it. Or maybe it was hard and you couldn't do it, and that's okay too. Again, bringing it back to single strumming every place a chord changes is going to help you start to get the shape of the song. So just doing, and let's just look at verse 5. So on verse 5, you've got, on the 5th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 5 golden rings. Each one of those chords gets 2 beats. So you can kind of, or 4 if you're counting it faster, but I'm going to count it slowly and we'll do 2. So it's 5th to Chris, to my true, to me, to 5, to gold, to rings, to dad, to. So each of those gets 2 beats. And then we get to these 3 beat sections. 4, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 2 turtle doves. Now we're back to 2 or 4 per chord. It happens seamlessly if you know the song well, but it's kind of a tricky thing this song does, and it can affect the way we need to strum it. So when I started strategizing how to strum this song, I realized I couldn't do one strumming pattern all the way through, even if I wanted to, unless it was single strums. Anything else I started doing was based on a sort of 2-4 beat world or a 3-6 beat world, somewhere in there, like 2 pulses or 4 pulses, 3 pulses or 6 pulses get similar strums. It's like 2 families of strumming patterns or picking patterns. Whether you're going to have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, or whether you're going to base it around 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you see how there's like a divide? You can't play, for example, island strum all the way through this song. If you know island strum, that's a 4 beat strum. Down, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, down, up, down, up. You can't make that fit into 3 French hens, 4 calling birds very easily. You'd have to get real creative with your speed and your strum to make a 4 beat strum fit into a 3 beat section. So I had to switch up my strumming between the 4 beats and the 3 beat sections, even though I ended up thinking of these 4 beat sections as 2 beats. I will say that. I found it easier to think of these as 2 beat sections and then the highlighted ones as 3 beat sections, even if technically the time signature is 4 versus 3. So don't worry about that too much. But if you're feeling a 2 pulse or a full 4 pulse in other parts of the song, all these highlighted lines need to feel more like a 3 or a 1, and you can just do the single strums there. So what we can do when we're figuring out how to play the song, and what I did when thinking, how am I going to play this for myself in a video for today's ukulele advent calendar, was look at what are my 2 families of strumming patterns here and what could I do? So let me just type this a little bit on the sheet. You can kind of see. So when I describe the island strum, even if you don't know island strum, it's basically a down, down, up, down, up. So that's one option we have, but we need 4 beats to do that, right? So if you're thinking of this in 2, like I am, then you actually would need 2 chords in a row to play the island strum. And if they're 2 of the same chord, you could play the island strum straight through. If they're 2 different chords, like the G and the C, that are paired together, then you would need to play either a split measure with the island strum and maybe do down, down on the G, and then up, down, up on the C, so that we can split it. So let me show you how that looks on the page. I know some of you will know this already, but let's just make it as on one chord and then an up, down, up on the second chord. Or another way to split the island strum, or just strum it, yourself, is down, down, up, down, down, up. So we could also do that on these pairs of chords. Down, down, up, first day of Christmas, my true love sent to me. And then we continue with the faster strums, which are still in 4/4 time. They're just moving faster. So if that's confusing, I'm sorry, but I'm just basically giving those each 1 beat. So those are some strumming that's in the 4 beat family. And also, although you may not like the way this sounds with this particular song, you could do down, down. You could do a down, 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 up, which some people call the rock strum. First day of Christmas, my true love sent to me a partridge, etc. Or the down, down. First day of Christmas, my true love sent to me. Or you could play one of those downs per chord. First day of Christmas, my true love sent to me. So in any case, you're kind of splitting up these 2 or 4 beats in different ways. And that's where you can even get more creative if you know, for example, chucking or chunking strums that use that percussive strum, or if you know tapping, or if you know some of the percussive hits on your fretboard or your body of your ukulele. There's so many ways you can break this out. You can also do things like variations on the island strum, which I like to do sometimes. I'll move this down here so I have a little more room to type. If you're doing a variation on an island strum, you could, for example, drop any of these other strums. So you could do down and then wait through your next down and then do up, down, up. So that sounds like this. So again, you're gonna have to split it sometimes if you're coming in on another chord faster, or you'd have to strum it really quickly. I wouldn't recommend doing yeah, if you want to try to do a whole island strum for each of those chords, you have to go really fast. Day of Christmas, my true love sent to me. That would not be sustainable for me for 12 verses. But so you might want to do one of these things for most of the song, but do a stanza with single strums, or do a stanza with, you know, single strums and nogs. When you get to those highlighted lines, you need to look at the other family of strumming or picking patterns. I'm not going to go into picking as much for this lesson, but let me know if you would like to do that, to look at some 4-beat strums versus picking, 4-beat picking versus 3-beat picking. We can look at another song. Of course, you could pick this song. I'm not saying you couldn't, but just for this one, I've been working with strumming, and I think I'll stick to strumming so this lesson doesn't get too long. But if you're looking at the 3 beats here, let's label this one so you can see this, and I'll put this up on. So it's looking like that. So here, let's go ahead and divide these out too. So if you're doing pairs, that's what it looks like. Or you can do just single strums, of course. And you can do one for 4 beats, or you can do a single strum for 2 beats as well. So now let's say you have, for the 3-beat, the highlighted phrases, you need to do something else, and it needs to go with that 3 clap. So the simplest way to think of that would, of course, be a single strum. But then you could say you could do 3 single strums. You could do a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You could also do a down, up, down, up, down, up. So you've got that 3 French hens, or just a down, up, down, up, down. 3 French hens. 2 turtle doves, goes back to 4, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens. Another one you could do is a down, down, up, down. So that would be like this. 4 calling birds, 3 French hens. For each of those, you're getting one of those patterns per chord that gets the 3 beats. You could also do, let's see, I haven't put in here down, down, up, down, up. That's a popular one that a lot of people will do. Let's look at 6 geese a-laying. 6 geese a-laying. That works nicely with that. Or again, you could go back up here to that, oops, I just made it not the right, there we go, the right width. You could go back up here to this 3 down ups in a row. 6 geese a-laying. And basically any permutation of that, you've got a down and an up per beat, because you can break 1, 2, 3 into 1 and 2 and 3 and down, up, down, up, down, up. So you can use any of those downs and any of those ups in combination with each other as long as it adds up to 3. And you can get as tricky as you want, but I won't go into too many of the tricky options where you're dropping downs and things like that. But you are going to be able to mix and match along the song, and you don't need to do the same thing every time. So maybe what you do for 4 calling birds, 3 French hens is different from what you do for 9 drummers drumming. Sometimes the words that we're singing can inform the strumming or picking choices that we make, because one thing makes more sense to us than another. But I encourage you to play around with this a little bit on this song if you know this song well. because it is such an interesting one when it comes to the time signature changes. This just does not happen in very many songs, and especially not songs we regularly play during the Christmas season or during our regular jams, in ukulele songs and songbooks that I see from different people. Usually you have one time signature in a song, and it's either a 2-beat pulse, a 4-beat pulse, one family, or a 3-beat pulse, a 6-beat pulse, another family. And there are variations, and there are other ones, and there are, exceptions to the rule, but this is an exception to the rule that you might find very familiar to you. So that's why I wanted to mention it. I don't think that we need to play through the whole song again, because, you can go back to the playthrough I did at the beginning of the song and enjoy the part where I couldn't think of how to say scroll the page, and some word came out of my mouth that was not a word. But basically, I'm also about to get offline and record a video for this that'll be a cover for today's ukulele advent calendar in this key. So you'll also have that to use too, and I'll link to it here once I've recorded it, if I remember. And if I don't remember, you can always drop me a comment to say, hey, you said you're gonna link to the cover that you make of this. So I can do that. But I'm gonna leave these 4-beat and 3-beat ideas for you on the PDF that I upload to Patreon, so that you can look at those and see what works for you. And again, you do not need to do the whole thing the same way. You can make different choices. I experimented with different choices here as I was playing through it. Sometimes I did more single strumming. Sometimes I, did more of the down, up, down, up, down, up to make it a little bit more, rich and full, or whatever emotion I'm ascribing to it. But it is a place where you can have a lot of fun, especially with the song you know well. So if this is not that song and you are interested in another song with time signatures that change, that's something you can Google, or let me know if you can't find a song that you know well. But most of the time, there's not going to be this many time signature changes. So this one really is an excellent opportunity to figure out what you would do in a case like that, and whether you can do that without telling yourself, I need to strum every verse exactly the same. So have fun with it. And that is the end of my final one take tutorial for 2024. More of these coming in 2025. Leave me comments. Let me know what songs I've arranged that you want to learn, or what techniques, what things you want to talk about. Do you want to do something like this with picking and how to do 4-beat picking versus 3-beat picking? Do you want to look at arranging songs more songwriting content? What do you want for the new year? What are you looking forward to? And I will do my best to do different things. This is really fun for me, and thank you again, whether you're a Patreon or not, for supporting me, for the thumbs up, for the comments, for the friendly faces on the Zooms, and the friendly words in the YouTube chats. I just have really had a great time, not just this year, but this year things have felt like they're growing a little bit, like I'm making new ukulele friends, like we're building community more on Patreon and in the public jams, and I just look forward to more of that in 2025. So all the best to you. Happy New Year if you're watching this at the end of 2024, and more to come. See you on the internet, folks. Thanks so much for being here. Bye.